When I was young, I often saw my dad helping other families with their tasks. And no matter who came to him with a need, he would always agree to help. Sometimes, even when he was busy with family matters, he'd feel too embarrassed to refuse others. So, he ended up being very well liked. I thought to myself, lending a helping hand to those in trouble earns admiration and approval. I want to be a good person like my dad when I grow up. After growing up, because I liked tinkering with electrical appliances, whenever a radio, TV, or light was broken at a neighbor's, neighbors would come to me for help, and I wouldn't turn them away easily. I thought that when others asked for my help, it meant that they trusted me and held me in esteem, and that I mustn't let them down. After finding God, I began doing duties in the church. Because I knew a little about computers, I could handle most common problems. And no matter where I went, brothers and sisters would ask me to help with computer issues. I'd agree to every request, feeling that since the brothers and sisters came to me, they trusted me. So I had to do my best to help and not let them down. Later, I was assigned to do my duties elsewhere. And occasionally when I came home, my wife would tell me that several brothers and sisters wanted me to help repair their computers, saying that since my skills were good, they'd been waiting for me to return to fix them. After hearing this, I felt even more that the brothers and sisters trusted me. And even if I was busy with duties, I would prioritize helping them with computer problems. In March 2024, I returned to my hometown to water newcomers. But because I had just started training, I didn't know how to resolve some problems and difficulties they faced. And I needed to be equipped more with truths concerning visions. Brothers and sisters knew I was back. So when their computers had problems, they all kept coming to me for solutions. One day, while I was seeking to understand the issues of newcomers and equipping myself with truths, preparing to fellowship with the newcomers at the next gathering, a brother came to me saying that his computer had a problem and that he needed me to help fix it. I felt a bit troubled, thinking to myself, the newcomer's problems need solving urgently, and I still need to equip myself with truths about visions. Time is tight, but if I refuse directly, won't this disappoint the brother? Would he think poorly of me, saying I have no love? So I put aside my duties and went with the brother to handle his computer issue, which took until 11 or 12 o'clock at night to finally fix it. By noon the next day, he hurried back again, saying that his computer was having problems again, and he asked me to look at it once more. I originally wanted to say that I had no time and have him find someone else to fix it, but the words got stuck in my throat. I thought, he trusts me to fix the computer. How can I let him leave disappointed? So I once again put aside my duties to repair the computer. After a thorough check and repair, the computer could be used normally. The brother happily said, "With you here, my heart feels at ease." Hearing this made me feel very pleased. And I felt that the brothers and sisters held me in high regard and that I was a trustworthy person in their hearts. But because I'd helped the brother repair the computer, I'd not equipped myself with the vision truths I should have. The newcomer's problems were not resolved in good time, and I felt somewhat guilty, thinking, although I satisfied the brother's needs, I delayed my own duties. Was what I did in line with God's intentions? Another time, a sister came to my house early in the morning, saying her computer couldn't connect to the internet properly, and she asked me to check it. She also said that now that I was back, it was much more convenient to ask me to fix her computer. I felt a bit troubled, thinking, the leaders have been checking work recently, and have found that several newcomers I am responsible for watering have some unresolved notions and problems. They've been urging me to quickly equip myself with vision truths, and the newcomers' issues need to be solved urgently. How am I supposed to find time to fix the sister's computer? Besides, the sister's computer isn't urgently needed, and this issue can be transferred to brothers and sisters who specialize in computer repair. I wanted to refuse the sister, but I just couldn't bring myself to say it, thinking, the sister happily came to find me. If I refuse, won't that really disappoint her? What would she think of me then? So I went to help fix her computer, and it took until after 10 o'clock at night to finally finish the repair. Because I'd been helping the sister with her computer, I'd not had the time to ponder the newcomer's issues. So the gathering didn't get very good results. In this way, every time brothers and sisters came to me for help, I always put aside my main work to repair their computers. Although I knew this seriously affected my own duties, whenever they came to me, I was always too embarrassed to refuse. I opened up about and fellowshipped my state with my wife, and she had me watch an experiential testimony video. In it, I read a passage of God's words.
Almighty God says, "Do your best to faithfully handle whatever other people have entrusted to you, is instilled in every person by family or society as one of the forms of moral conduct that people must possess in how they conduct themselves. If you possess this moral conduct, people say you are noble, honorable, have integrity, and that you are esteemed and highly regarded by society. Since the phrase, 'Do your best to faithfully handle whatever other people have entrusted to you,' comes from people and from Satan, it becomes the object we dissect and discern, and further still, the object we forsake. Why do we discern and forsake this phrase? Let's first examine whether this phrase is correct and whether a person who follows it is right. Is it truly noble to be a person who possesses the moral character to do their best to faithfully handle whatever other people have entrusted to them? Does such a person possess the truth reality? Do they have the humanity created beings should have and the principles of self-conduct that they should adhere to which God speaks of? Do you all understand the phrase, "Do your best to faithfully handle whatever other people have entrusted to you"? First, explain in your own words what this phrase means.
It means that when someone entrusts you with a task, you should spare no effort in getting it done.
Should this be the case? The meaning of the phrase, "Do your best to faithfully handle whatever other people have entrusted to you," is that if someone entrusts you with a task, this means they think highly of you, believe in you, and think you are trustworthy. And so, no matter what that person asks you to do, you should agree and do it well and appropriately according to their requirements, and make them happy and satisfy them. Then you are a good person. The implication is that whether the person who entrusted you with a task is satisfied is the standard for determining whether you are a good person. Can it be explained in this way? So, isn't it easy to be seen as a good person in the eyes of others and recognized by society? What does it mean that it is easy? It means that the standard is very low and not at all noble.
Pondering God's words, I thought about how I'd been influenced by my dad since childhood. I saw that when the villagers came to my dad for help, he would rather put aside his own family matters to properly handle others' affairs, eventually earning the trust of those around him. So, I thought that conducting oneself by the idea of do your best to faithfully handle whatever other people have entrusted to you was what made a person trustworthy and good. Because I liked tinkering with electrical appliances, whenever anyone's lights, radio, TV, or other appliances broke, if they came to me, I would always do my best to help repair these things. I believed that this was the only way to live up to others' trust in me. Every time I fixed other people's things and heard their praise and thanks, I felt so happy and felt that in their hearts I was a trustworthy and good person. After coming to believe in God, I still lived by this viewpoint. I was watering newcomers, and because I just started to train, I had many deficiencies and couldn't fellowship clearly on some truths. So I needed to be further equipped with the truth regarding visions, as only then could I do my duty well. However, I didn't put effort into my main work. When the brothers and sisters came to me for help with computer problems, to avoid disappointing them and to maintain the good image they had of me, I would immediately put down my duties to help them with their computer issues. As a result, I didn't seek or equip myself with truths relevant to the newcomers' problems, and the gatherings didn't achieve good results. I was controlled by the viewpoint of do your best to faithfully handle whatever other people have entrusted to you, always considering what brothers and sisters will think of me, and valuing what people entrusted to me more than my own duty. I was failing to fulfill my own duty. How could I call myself a good person? Later I pondered, why do I prefer to impede my duty rather than refuse other people's requests? What kind of problem is this? I then read God's words.
Almighty God says, some people say, among those who do their best to faithfully handle whatever other people have entrusted to them, there are also many who do not seek to profit at other people's expense. They simply aim to do their best to handle things well. These people truly possess this moral conduct. This statement is incorrect. Even if they don't seek wealth, material possessions, or any kind of benefit, they do seek renown. What is this renown? It means, I have accepted the task which that person entrusted to me, regardless of whether that person is present or not. As long as I do my best to do it well and faithfully handle what they have entrusted to me, I will have a good reputation. At least some people will know that I am a good person, a person of high moral character, and someone worth emulating. I can occupy a place among people and leave behind a good reputation in a group of people. That's worthwhile. Other people say, do your best to faithfully handle whatever other people have entrusted to you. And since people have entrusted us, whether they are present or not, we should handle their tasks well and stick with it to the end. Even if we cannot leave a lasting legacy, at least they can't criticize us behind our backs by saying that we have no credibility. We can't let future generations be discriminated against and suffer this kind of gross injustice. What are they seeking? They're still seeking renown. Some people attach great importance to wealth and possessions, while others value fame and gain. What does fame mean? What are specific expressions for fame among people? It's being called a good person and someone of high moral character, a paragon, a virtuous person, or a saint. There are even some people who, because for one matter they succeeded in doing their best to faithfully handle whatever other people have entrusted to them, and have this kind of moral character, are perpetually praised, and their descendants benefit from their renown. You see, this is much more valuable than the little benefits they can get at present. Therefore, the starting point for anyone who abides by the so-called moral standard, to do your best to faithfully handle whatever other people have entrusted to you, is not that simple. They are not just seeking to fulfill their obligations and responsibilities as individuals, but rather they abide by it either for personal gain or reputation, either for this life or the next life. Of course, there are also those who wish to avoid being criticized behind their back and to avoid infamy. In short, the starting point for people to do this kind of thing is not simple. It is not really a starting point from the perspective of humanity, nor is it a starting point from the social responsibility of mankind. In any community or group in society, people want others to consider them as being of high moral character, a good person, a reliable person, trustworthy, and someone worthy of being entrusted with tasks. They all want to establish such an image that earns respect and makes others believe that they are dignified individuals of flesh and blood, with feelings and loyalty, and not cold-blooded or alien. If you want to integrate into society and be accepted and approved by them, you must first make them recognize you as a person of high moral character, someone with integrity and credibility. So, no matter what kind of requests they make of you, you try your best to satisfy them, make them happy, and then receive praise from them, saying that you are a trustworthy person of high moral character, and that people are willing to associate with you. In this way, you feel a sense of presence in your life. If you can be approved by society, by the masses, and by your colleagues and friends, you will live a particularly nourishing and satisfying life.
God's words expose the root of the problem. When people are able to faithfully handle others' affairs, this is not because they want to fulfill their responsibilities, but because they want to gain a good reputation. Reflecting on myself, I saw that I'd been influenced by my father since childhood. Whenever anyone's appliances broke and they asked for my help, I always agreed. I did all this so that I'd have a good reputation in the village and so that others would praise me. After starting to do my duty, whenever the brothers and sisters came to me with computer problems, I didn't feel like I could refuse, no matter how busy I was with my duty. In particular, when the brothers and sisters said my repair skills were good, I felt really satisfied, thinking that this was them trusting me. To maintain a good image in the hearts of the brothers and sisters, even though I was well aware that the newcomers' problems were still unresolved and that I needed to equip myself more, as the truth regarding visions was still unclear to me, when brothers and sisters came to me for computer help, even though I wanted to refuse, I just couldn't bring myself to say the words, as I was afraid of disappointing them, making them think I was uncaring, and giving them a bad impression of me. In reality, if they urgently needed their computers, it would be okay for me to occasionally help solve their problems. But some didn't urgently need their computers and could have handed them over to the brothers and sisters doing computer repair duty. But because I didn't want to disappoint them, I always agreed, regardless of whether it affected my duty. And as a result, my duties were hampered. I valued my own fame and gain very much and preferred to delay my duty just to maintain a good image in others' hearts and make others think I was a trustworthy and loving good person. I was truly selfish and despicable. Duty is a commission given to people from God. It is the responsibility that a created being ought to carry out above all else. But I regarded things entrusted to me by people as more important than my duty. No matter how difficult or time-consuming the matters others entrusted to me were, I tried my best to do them well, not thinking about how to do my own duty in a way that would satisfy God. I maintained a good image in people's hearts, but in God's eyes, I had become a person who took their duty lightly, doing it without loyalty or trustworthiness. I really was confusing my priorities and putting the cart before the horse. God graced me with the opportunity to water newcomers, hoping that I would seek the truth to solve their various notions and problems, allowing them to come to know God's work and establish roots in the true way early on. I should have shown consideration for God's intentions and fulfilled my duties no matter the circumstances. Later, I pondered again, how should I treat the things that others entrust in me? In seeking, I read God's words.
Almighty God says, if the task entrusted to you doesn't consume too much of your time and energy, and is within the range of your caliber, or if you have the right environment and conditions, then out of human conscience and reason, you can do some things for others to the best of your ability and meet their reasonable and appropriate demands. However, if the task entrusted to you takes up a significant amount of your time and energy, and takes away much of your time, to the extent that it makes you sacrifice your life and your responsibilities and obligations in this life, and your duties as a created being will be reduced to nothing and will be replaced, then what will you do? You should refuse, because it is not your responsibility or obligation. As for the responsibilities and obligations of a person's life, other than taking care of parents and raising children and fulfilling social responsibilities in society and under the framework of the law, the most important thing is that a person's energy and time and life should be spent on doing the duty of a created being, rather than being entrusted with a task by anyone else, taking up their time and energy. This is because God creates a person, grants them life, and brings them into this world, and it is not for them to do things and fulfill responsibilities for others. What people should accept most is God's commission. Only God's commission is a genuine commission, and accepting man's entrusted task is to not attend to their proper duties. No one is qualified to ask you to devote your loyalty, energy, time, or even your youth and entire life to the tasks they entrust to you. Only God is qualified to ask people to do their duty as created beings. Why is that? If any task entrusted to you requires a significant amount of your time and energy, it will hinder you from doing your duty as a created being and even from following the right path in life. It will alter the direction and goals of your life. This is not a good thing. It's a curse.
God's words pointed out a path of practice to me. In this life, the thing we most ought to accept is God's commission, which we ought to complete with all our heart and mind. As for the matters entrusted to us by others, we must consider whether they will take up too much of our time, and whether they will hinder our main duty. If they do not take too much time, and we are not too busy with our duty, then out of human conscience and reason, we may help to resolve them. However, if helping others will affect our main duty, then we should refuse, and should not be bound by the traditional cultural idea of do your best to faithfully handle whatever other people have entrusted to you. However, in the past, I had no principles at all in how I treated what others entrusted to me. No matter who asked me for help, I never turned them away, and thus obstructed my duty as a result. Although there was nothing wrong with helping my brothers and sisters repair computers, if it takes up a lot of time and delays my duty, then I should refuse and explain the situation to my brothers and sisters. They will understand. I should not always consider how others view me, but practice according to God's words and principles instead. One night, 2 brothers came to my home, saying there was a new computer that wouldn't turn on, and that they needed me to take a look. I felt troubled, thinking, I still have some urgent work that I haven't finished, And if I agree to help fix their computer, it will surely delay me quite a bit. But if I directly refuse, what will they think of me? They'd arrive happy, but they'd return disappointed. Wouldn't I be leaving them with a bad impression of me? I realized I was again considering my status and image in others' hearts. So I silently prayed to God in my heart, asking Him to guide me to practice according to principles and to prioritize my duty. I recall the passage of God's words I had read. If the task entrusted to you doesn't consume too much of your time and energy, and is within the range of your caliber, or if you have the right environment and conditions, then out of human conscience and reason, you can do some things for others to the best of your ability and meet their reasonable and appropriate demands. However, if the task entrusted to you takes up a significant amount of your time and energy, and takes away much of your time to the extent that it makes you sacrifice your life and your responsibilities and obligations in this life and your duties as a created being will be reduced to nothing and will be replaced, then what will you do? You should refuse, because it is not your responsibility or obligation. With the guidance of God's words, I found a path of practice. I needed to first see what the problem with the computer was. And if it wouldn't take too much time and was a simple matter, then I would help handle it. But if it was a major issue that would take a long time to fix, then I would have them go to the brothers and sisters who repaired computers. So I turned on the computer to check the issue, and I found that the system had a problem. This wasn't something that could be fixed quickly. So I told the brothers that I was busy with my duty and that I didn't have time to fix it. And I had them go to other brothers and sisters for help. They agreed after hearing this. When I practiced according to God's words, the brothers didn't form any kind of negative view of me as I had imagined. And I felt very ashamed. Through this experience, I gained discernment about the traditional cultural idea of do your best to faithfully handle whatever other people have entrusted to you. And I also understood that merely doing what people entrust properly doesn't make one a truly good person. Only by fulfilling one's duty with all one's heart and strength to satisfy God is one a truly good person. I also no longer delay my duty because I cannot let go of saving face and therefore feel obliged to always say yes to others. This change and understanding came about as a result of the guidance of God's words. Thanks be to God.